Nigel Farage, of course, will be the only voice on the right of the political spectrum tonight. Does that give him a big advantage, or do you think the others are going to gang up against him?
I think Nigel will not just be the only voice on the right, but the only voice on the centre or right of British politics. We've got Ed Miliband on the left of the Labour Party, and then three other parties that are trying to pull him even further to the left. So it's Nigel Farage who's going to be the voice of common sense, the only person there speaking up for the English taxpayer, and actually trying to push politics in a more sensible direction, actually to reduce the deficit, deal with immigration, and we're the only party who've actually got some money to help with the health service or to spend 2% of GDP on defence, and Nigel's going to be representing a lot of those common sense people on the centre as well as on the right of British politics.
He said today that he didn't understand David Cameron's position about not coming here. Does he see that as an opportunity for him, presumably?
I think it is an opportunity for him, and I don't think Nigel's going to have to fight for attention. I think he can be the voice of everyday common sense, of people who are actually concerned about the finances of our country, who think it's too much to be borrowing £90 billion. And we're the party who actually wants to make some savings, stop spending that £1 billion a month on overseas aid, stop giving $10 billion a year to the European Union, and actually to revise that Barnett formula so we stop spending £1,400 more per person in Scotland than we do in the rest of the UK. He's going to be the voice of fairness, common sense, really coming actually from the centre of the political spectrum.
Now that's a very different view than the view that the Green Party holds. You don't want to cut the deficit, far from it. You want to spend an awful lot more, don't you? I mean, people say that your plans are completely unrealistic.
Our plans aren't unrealistic. We've actually costed them. We've looked at where you need to invest at the moment up front in order to get the sort of change that you want, whether that's dealing with energy efficiency measures so that people are no longer living in cold homes, whether that's actually investing in the health service and saying, well, you know, we also need then to be gathering that money back later on through tax rises, the wealth tax that we're proposing, so that richer people are actually paying their share. So, you know, we certainly looking at the cash flow on this. This is investment. This isn't just spending for the sake of spending. You know, so we would actually say that we're taking a very serious and sensible line on this, knowing the sort of changes that we have to make in this country to face the future, rather than looking back to the past all the time.
But realistically, for you, you've got one maybe MP at the moment. In the last parliament, you had one MP. You're not going to win that many more seats. How much of an influence can you have in the next parliament?
No, it's true, in a disproportional electoral system that we're not going to be winning many seats, you know, because you require that concentration geographically rather than a broad support. But nevertheless, you can certainly have an influence. I think if you look at the one MP that we do have in Caroline Lucas, you certainly can't say that Caroline has not had an influence on politics and, you know, in general. So, you know, a handful more with Caroline, I think, make a very, very powerful sort of position within the Parliament.
But the same could be true for UKIP as well, isn't it? Realistically, you're not going to get dozens of seats. How much influence can you really hope to have? Presumably, you would only do a deal with the Conservatives.
Well, look at the influence just Douglas Carswell and myself have had since last autumn. We've shown that if you vote UKIP, you get UKIP. And in terms of immigration, in terms of a referendum on the European Union, the impact we've had in terms of pulling the debate in a sensible direction, actually trusting the people, has been really significant. And I think many of your viewers tonight will be astonished to find that there's three other parties here who believe that the country should borrow and spend even more than Ed Miliband wants. And actually it's left to Nigel Farage and UKIP and our MPs to pull things back in a more sensible direction, support deficit reduction, living within our means, referendum on the European Union and sensible control of immigration.
OK, thank you very much to the both of you. So you heard it there, Nigel Farage is going to be pitching tonight for the centre ground.